It is not, in fact, true that it is costing American taxpayers $200 million a day to send the president to India, nor is it true that 1/10 of the Navy is being dispatched to take him there. It is not true. But the fact that it's not true doesn't matter anymore. I mean, there have always been myths and lies around American politics, but there used to be a process of debunking those things, and then they would more or less go away, give or take the fringe, give or take protocols of the Elders of Zion. But the debunking process is gone now. No non-right-wing information is allowed to be used to debunk right-wing information. So if conservatives self-confirm something as fact in their closed-circuit media world, it's fact to them. We should have known we had lost the capacity to debunk when this happened.
They're going to be saying, no, you can't give this person a hip replacement. They're too old. This will be done by this federal board, which is really the death panel that Sarah Palin was talking about.
The death panels, yes, back in the news again.
She warned Americans about so-called death panels.
Those death panels, which created a big controversy.
There weren't death panels in health reform. Democrats, in fact, accepted a Republican-proposed idea to promote living wills, where people say what they want their own end-of-life care to be. That is not a death panel. There are no death panels. There never were. But in the alternate self-contained right-wing media universe, death panels are real. In that world, it's true. They've confirmed it with each other, and it is therefore unquestionable. The reason this is more than just funny or sad is that when people who are informed by their time in the alternate self-contained right-wing media universe, when those people move on in life, sometimes what they're moving on to is getting control of parts of the government.
I'm very concerned about the international moves they're making, particularly the question that there was about moving the United States off of the dollar and onto a global currency. Between 1942 and 1947, the data that was collected by the Census Bureau was handed over to the FBI and other organizations at the request of President Roosevelt, and that's how the Japanese were rounded up and put into the internment camps. I'm not saying that that's what the administration is planning to do, but I am saying that private personal information that was given to the Census Bureau in the 1940s was used against Americans to round them up.
Did you hear that the census is being used as a tool by the Obama administration to round up conservatives and put them in internment camps just like the Japanese in 1940? I totally heard that. Now the census is over, so you may be watching this from a conservative internment camp right now. If you are, I apologize for any offense. But the idea that the U.S. Census, mandated by the Constitution, is a thinly veiled conspiracy to round us all up and put us in internment camps, the idea that Barack Obama has a dastardly plot to eliminate the dollar and create a one-world currency, those things aren't just stupid, they're true on the political right. And because she is undebunkable in today's media world, Michelle Bachmann is now vying to become the #4 Republican in the leadership of the United States House of Representatives. Things that are true only in self-contained right-wing media world are leaking out into real politics.
At a recent rally, Nevada Senate candidate Sharon Engel said, quote, Dearborn, Michigan and Frankfort, Texas are on American soil and under constitutional law, not Sharia law, and I don't know how that happened in the United States. It seems to me there is something fundamentally wrong with allowing a foreign system of law to even take hold in any municipality or government situation in our United States, end quote.
Sharia law has not, in fact, supplanted the United States Constitution anywhere in the United States. When confronted with that truth, candidate Sharon Engel's response was not to withdraw the claim, but to explain why she believed it, which is good enough for her.
Did you say, though, that Sharia law was in place in Dearborn right now?
I had read that in one place that they had started using some Sharia law there. That's what I had read.
I have no doubt that you have, in fact, read that, Sharon Engel. If you have been reading around in conservative media world recently, you have read a lot of stuff like that. And because that media world is now so big and so well-funded that it is self-contained and self-sustaining, there is no debunking of this stuff anymore. It just becomes true by dint of mutual conservative reinforcement and repetition.
Their mission is to blur or completely erase the borders between Canada, U.S., and Mexico to get goods and services freely flowing between all three countries in the dream of one big, happy Mex-Americanada.
I guarantee it is one of their long-term goals to have, one sort of borderless mass continent.
American scientific companies are crossbreeding humans and animals and coming up with mice with fully functioning human brains.
You want to know what happened in Laredo? Did you hear what happened in Laredo? Oh my God. A Mexican drug gang called the Zetas rampaged over the border and took over 2 ranches in Laredo, Texas. American ranches now being run right now by a Mexican drug gang. Mexican drug gangs have officially breached the border. The invasion from Mexico has begun. Did you hear about it? Did you hear about it? If you live in right-wingville in this country, then I'm sure you have heard all about it. None of it is true. None of those things actually happened. Talk to you guys.
Thanks, Lisa confirmed Eric Holder, and we disagree with that.
She what?
Kind of voted to confirm Eric Holder.
And why are you against that?
Because he's the most anti-gun attorney general this country has ever had.
What's he done on guns that you're upset about, though? Just so
I honestly, I don't know enough about him to answer that truthfully, Rachel.
Can I just ask why are you upset about Eric Holder?
Because he's anti-gun.
What has he done that's anti-gun?
I don't have all the facts, but I know that he is anti-gun.
A little baby with ink on their foot, stamped right there on the birth certificate. There's one in this country we haven't seen.
Get it? Barack Hussein Obama. Haven't seen that birth certificate yet with the little feet. Again, for the record, Barack Obama was born in Hawaii. Eric Holder hasn't done anything against gun rights. Mexican drug gangs are not seizing ranches in Texas. Mice with human brains. That one, actually, I take a pass. I can't disprove that. But Mex-Americanada, I can say with confidence, not actually happening. This is not just about gullible people believing untrue things. It is about what's new in America about gullible people believing untrue things. There is a closed-circuit, giant, super well-funded conservative media machine that not only promotes this stuff when it is politically convenient, but they reinforce it and validate it and fend off any ability to debunk this stuff. So things that would have been disprovable myths in times past in America now become conservative truths. Things that can be easily disproven outside of conservative America can never be disproven if you live in their closed-circuit world on the right. The other thing that's new is what happened on Tuesday night. Politicians who are a product of this media culture, who raise their money for their campaigns on Fox News. The undebunkable faith-based fact horde is going to Washington. And as they get there, that becomes itself another means of validating these politically convenient, made-up things. They now put the prestige of the U.S. government, the portion of it that they control at least, behind all of this made-up stuff. Their new positions of power help to validate all of these otherwise totally disprovable things.
I keep reading that Obama keeps bringing small quantities of Muslims into this country. Why can't Congress stop that?
Okay, freeze frame. You're a member of Congress. You are Republican Congressman Steve King of Iowa in this case. You get asked that question by a constituent. You have not heard that specific conspiracy theory about Obama and the tiny quantities of Muslims he keeps sneaking into the nation. What do you say when confronted with this question? Here's the difference between you and the new Republican Congress. This is how Republican Congressman Steve King chose to respond to that thing he'd never heard before.
I keep reading that Obama keeps bringing small quantities of Muslims into this country. Why can't Congress stop that?
You know, I don't know what the basis is of that. I wouldn't be surprised that that is the real factual basis.
To be clear, Steve King, a serving member of Congress, has never heard that crazy story before. He doesn't know it to be true. It has never crossed his mind before. But there he is telling a member of the public that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. It very well might be true. Because, you know, sounds good. So now Obama has tiny quantities of Muslims on him at all times, and he's taking 34 warships with him to India, and these things cannot be disproven. There is no debunking process anymore. If you do not live in right-wing land and you agree that those things have been debunked, if that's not your reality, how do you ever talk to those people?